Hey everyone, welcome to another great episode of the Legislative Director talking about legislative things. I am super excited to be joined by Amber Marr and Addison Pollock. And as you all know already, I am the not Legislative Director, Manda Moyer, Director of Community Engagement for AARP Indiana. Addison, how are you doing, sir?
Hey, I'm doing well, Madla. I'm the not
Yes,
legislative
yeah,
director.
there's three knots. Yeah.
Yep, director of community engagement. Good to be here.
Thanks, sir. And of course, the guest of the hour, guest of honor, however you want to sort of title her, Amber Marr, the legislative director. Amber, how are you doing?
I'm doing well, thank you. It's a little dreary over here on the south side, but the sun was out this morning, so, doing
It's
well.
it's so funny how the weather is different on different parts of town because I
You,
do not have that going on. So
oh, you don't?
maybe you
Yeah,
need to move. I
it's
don't know.
snowing over here.
Yeah.
I'm telling you, it is so weird. But yes, about to get a storm, I feel.
Really?
Yeah,
It's
the storm
better
is
weather
rolling
out
in.
here. I don't know. Anyway, enough about the weather. We're really excited today. This is another episode, guys. We have been rolling these out for you all. I hope you're getting a lot of information. We've pumped out a lot of guests. The team has been together. You even got to see Jason Thompson, who is on special assignment. I don't know, whatever he's doing. But we've had a busy summer already. We've sent out a couple of letters to engage the governor's office around the American Recovery Act. And so that's what really we want to talk to you guys about today. I'm going to kick it over to Amber to talk a little bit about what sort of the letters entailed and what all it was involved in getting those out. And then each of us are going to take sort of pieces of the puzzle and the letters and talk a little bit about each program that ARP was out, fighting for and fighting to make sure, that the administration took heed and helped many of you out there and many of the friends and family that you live with and your neighbors as well. So, Amber, take it away for us.
Thanks, Mandala. So I will kick it off by saying, just reiterating, we did send two letters to the governor this past month. I guess not the past month, we're still in June. So this happened at the beginning of the month, is what I should have said. And this did pertain to items that were in the American Rescue Plan. This was a federal act that was passed in March. And basically, what we were trying to do is just request from the governor to make sure that we're taking advantage of these funds and to talk about how these funds can be used and maybe provide some suggestions or some ways that AARP Indiana would like to see these monies spent. So I will just kick it off by saying that on May 13th, CMS, which is the Centers for Medicare and Medicaid Services, they issued guidance to states on what is called the temporary enhanced funding for Medicaid home and community-based services under the American Rescue Plan. So we refer to as home and community-based services, as you'll hear me say, HCBS, and the temporary enhanced funding for Medicaid home and community-based services, we refer to as FMAP. So just to kind of give you that breakdown, if you see that anywhere, will help you understand that that's what we're talking about as well. This particular temporary enhanced funding was 10% increase for certain HCBS services. And the reason why this is so important to us is AARP Indiana really believes that individuals should be able to choose where they age. And most of the time, individuals choose to age in their homes and communities. As you know, especially during COVID, there was a huge spotlight on facility-based care and what happened in nursing homes. This is why we also are trying to highlight this, because HCBS means that the services that someone would need could actually be brought to their home. So in this letter, we just mentioned a few things that this enhanced temporary increase in funding could be used for. There's a lot. I won't go into the whole list, but I will just mention that a lot of it has to do with caregiving and sort of expanding caregiving services for caregivers and their loved ones. It's removing waiting lists within, Medicaid and certain things that maybe people are waiting to receive those services, and just on and on and on. So we just wanted to highlight that, home and community-based service, these services are very important, and that that the governor takes great care when putting together a plan, which is where I wanted to go next. This plan that the state has to put together on how they will use this enhanced funding was actually due on June 12th, but the states were able to ask for an extension in order to submit that plan. And if states did submit an extension, the new deadline is July 12th. And as an update, the state of Indiana did ask for an extension in order to submit the plan on how they're going to use this enhanced funding. And so the new deadline for Indiana is July 12th. Hopefully we'll have a little more information around what that plan will look like when we get an opportunity to see it. Obviously, there's still a few days left for them to continue to put that together. We have had communication with the administration, specifically the Family and Social Services Administration, on sort of what their thoughts are, and just to make sure that they did receive our letters. So stay tuned. Obviously, we have a lot coming up and things to look forward to and to keep our eye on. But that's sort of the breakdown on the home and community-based services end. And I think maybe, did I forget anything though, gentlemen, that maybe I need to mention in a different manner?
No, that's all
No,
good.
I don't believe so. I don't
That's a
believe
good
so.
overview.
You got it. Yeah. Thank you.
Thanks for that.
Absolutely. And just to reiterate, these funds are to supplement, not supplant, current HCBS activities or programs. So with that being said, we can move on to our second letter that we had sent to the governor that deals with 3 other additional topics. And I think, Mandala, I'm tossing it to you to talk about housing.
You sure are. So we did send another piece of the letter that focused on housing. Amber mentioned that one of the things that we want to do is to make sure folks age in place. One of the things that's important to that fact is folks being able to stay in their homes. What became even more evident is that during the pandemic, it was extremely more important for folks to stay at home. And then even more important that folks sort of lost income and wages and weren't able to pay rent and mortgage. And so the American Rescue Plan also ensured that states were able to have both rental assistance and then mortgage assistance as well. We also know that, and also noted that in our letter, that communities of color, especially Hispanic and African American communities, were more likely to be to feel the impacts of COVID-19 at a higher rates than the rest of the community. And so in our letter, we sort of highlighted that and made sure the governor was aware of that, and sort of wanted to make sure that that was a key piece of the legislation, making sure that the state of Indiana continued to have both the eviction moratorium, but also important to stay in place is that the rental assistance was there as well. So we knew that at the point when we sent the letter that the eviction piece was going to end at the end of June. It was the CDC and the Biden administration both extended those through July 31st. And so folks have another month to apply both for rental assistance and then as well for mortgage assistance as well. Also, make sure you watch our episode with our friends from IHCDA. They give a great breakdown on the rental assistance program and how you can apply and all that good stuff and how folks can get involved with that. We know the state of Indiana received, on the rental side, received roughly about $357 million in that range to help folks out. We also know that from the mortgage assistance side, that number is about 150 million as well. So hopefully that you may not need it, but you know somebody who might, please feel free to sort of let them know that that information is out there. We know that folks need to continue to pay their mortgages, and folks need to make sure they're able to pay their rent, and so that information is out there as well. I always try to put this caveat in there. Just because we were in the pandemic doesn't mean that you needed to stop paying your rent. But make sure you are talking to your landlord if you do need assistance, to make sure that the two of you, or however your rental assistance program is set up, or sorry, your rental agreement is set up, that you're talking to that property manager or landlord to make sure you're coordinating with them to make sure you don't lose your home. And then on the mortgage side, it's the same thing, contacting your broker as well. But again, our friends at IHCDA gave us a really great episode of the legislative director talking about legislative things, where they talk about this as well. At ARP, we feel it's extremely important that the administration, both Governor Holcomb as well as sort of our federal friends, are keeping an eye to make sure that folks are able to stay in their homes as long as they can. So we'll continue with the sort of livable communities theme. We also sent a part of the same letter that was around housing and community support, included some transit funding as well. And so Addison is going to sort of pick up that piece for us. Addison.
Yeah, definitely. Thanks, Madla.
Hey, I am so sorry. Can I interrupt
Yeah,
you for just one
please.
second?
Sure. Did I miss something?
Mandela, no, you didn't miss it. I just wanted to bring it up really fast because I thought, if they go and watch our previous episode around the rental assistance fund, I wanted to also say that the homeowners assistance fund covers many of the same things that the rental assistance covers. And this is why, because I pointed this out for the rental assistance, because it's really exciting. It prioritizes funds for mortgage payments, payments to reduce mortgage interest rate. It includes utilities, so gas, water, and energy, internet services, which I wanted to highlight because that's also how the emergency rental assistance will cover, which I was very surprised by. So I wanted to say this also includes internet services, homeowners insurance, and then also homeowner and condo association fees, and many more things. So you didn't forget it. I just wanted to point it out because I thought it was really interesting that internet is included in a lot of these rental and homeowner assistance programs.
And
So,
if you can't remember all that, go watch that episode, and then go also watch the episode where we had Jason Thompson talking about the EBB as well. So you come on, guys, we are putting these out for you like hot takes. So you can get the information to the people that your neighbors, your friends, your family. Make sure that we're all able to make it through this tough time, as whole as we possibly can. We know that things are opening back up, and so we want to make sure that folks can make it through the transition as best they can. But yeah, we're staying on it. So make sure you check those episodes out and get a look at them. So AP, sorry,
Yeah.
Addison.
That's okay. Nicknames are allowed. Yeah, I would say this is like every other TV show. You want to watch every episode of the season to get the whole picture. So check it out. So as Madla mentioned, we're going to talk about some transit funding that became available through the American Rescue Plan Act. If you've been paying attention to AARP Indiana for a while, you know that this is an issue we care about. Transit is critically important to aging in community, aging at home and in place, just having those transportation options. And we believe that coming out of the pandemic, transit access is economic recovery. So that's why we think that this is critically important. Something we work on every session at the State House. If you remember the Public Mass Transportation Fund, it's something we talk about a lot. And then AARP advocates for transit at the federal level as well. But about the American Rescue Plan Act, the Indiana actually received an apportionment, according to the Federal Transit Administration, of about more than $190 million. So there's a lot of money going around for public transit in the state. And we know that this is something that every session we go, and we legislative session at the State House, we try to increase the funding for transit because we think that it's an investment in transit and an investment in our communities. So this is critically important. The breakdown kind of goes like this. So for urban transit systems, think Indigo in Indianapolis, SB Transpo in South Bend, Gary, Lafayette, Bloomington, Evansville, Fort Wayne, all those bigger urban areas. Those transit systems received around 188 million, maybe a little bit more. Our more rural transit, so our friends in everywhere from Johnson County to LaGrange County, a lot of counties, it's sort of your door-to-door transit. They received around more than $4 million for that service. And then this other service, which is similar to rural transit, but it's not confined by geographic nature. It's the enhanced mobility of seniors and individuals with disabilities. This program received around $927,000 for the state of Indiana. So these are for transit systems that might be associated with an organization. So like your Councils on Aging, SACOA here in Indianapolis. A lot of those folks, those organizations receive that funding. So all of that together creates a really nice transit network, and it's critically important. What AARP is asking for is that that funding, that the governor utilizes that funding appropriately so that transit systems can meet the demand for transit service and encourage ridership. So not only servicing the folks that are already using the systems, but encouraging people to get on the bus. And I actually took the bus last week, and I was so excited to get back on the bus. It was awesome. Had my mask on and everything. It was really fun. I went downtown. It was a great time. But anyways, I'll talk about that on another episode. I would use what we're asking is that Governor Holcomb considers asking these transit services to maintain and increase investment in to improve their service, promote the use of public transportation, implement safety regulations and compliance mechanisms, and then encourage transit authorities to reduce fares when possible. So we know Indigo does a great job of reducing fares for veterans. If you use Open Door, the door-to-door paratransit service. So just making sure that people who might need assistance utilizing their services, making sure that we're taking care of those folks. So that's essentially it. We think this is a great thing, and we just hope that it's the money gets to the systems that need it, and we'll be paying attention, keeping an eye on it. But I think we're now going to stick with the livable communities theme. I'm going to toss it back to Amber, and I think we're going to talk about water and sewer systems.
Thanks, Addison. Yes, and this is our final topic for today. And I think we're going to all kind of chime in on this one, but this one does deal with water and sewer utilities and how the American Rescue Plan has allocated money for all of those items. As you know, AARP Indiana has supported clean, reliable, and affordable drinking water, as well as sewer service, since they are critical elements, as we've mentioned, in a lot of our livable community work. So many water and sewer systems need expensive upgrades as a result of, deferred maintenance or compliance requirements, or just other, for the fact of needing to modernize the system. So that is what these funds can be used for. The American Rescue Plan allocated about $350 billion in fiscal recovery funds to support these efforts, both state and local governments, for their investments in water and sewer infrastructure. Now, along with that, there was money set aside specifically for low-income housing water assistance program. So that was $500 million was set aside specifically for a water assistance program, which has not existed in the past, that will help customers pay water and sewer, both current and arrears. So, that was another breakdown of the money. Also, the current program, the Low Income Home Energy Assistance Program, they had set aside $638 million for that program. And again, these are for states and local governments. I am trying to think, Addison, Mandela, what else am I missing?
No, I think you've got it for state and local governments, and then they have those apportioned funds for those low-income household programs. So the water assistance program, the home energy assistance program. I think you covered it. One thing that I'd like to point out when it comes to why this is so critically important and why AARP cares about it is that when we work on utility issues, it's typically on behalf of the consumer. It's on behalf of the ratepayer. So what's so important about this funding is that, without this funding, if a city or a town wants to upgrade their utility infrastructure, a lot of times that causes rates to go up for users. And with this federal funding, this federal assistance, that doesn't have to necessarily happen. So I think that it's a win for the consumer. It's a win for Hoosiers across the state. So I just wanted to underscore that point.
Yeah, that's a really good point. And then another thing, just to make sure we give folks the right information. So Amber mentioned that the water assistance program was sort of separate from sort of your typical low income your low income home energy assistance program, LIHEAP. Want to make sure that program, so the LIHEAP piece is still up and running, so you can still sort of start, making sure that you're applying for sort of on the energy side, and then give the state some time to kind of get caught up with the water assistance program, and then you can sort of start making sure that your sewer is covered, water and sewer are covered as well, both current and then your previous payments as well. Because I think the last thing we want is for people to have their utilities, all facets of utilities, to be disconnected. LIHEAP, go ahead, get your applications in, get that process started for the water assistance program. Make sure that you kind of give it a few weeks, and then get to asking questions about when and how you can apply for that as well. I think that covers all of the information that we had for you all today. Again, like Addison said, this is like Game of Thrones. You gotta watch all the episodes to get the full picture. We wanted to give you guys a little bit of each thing because the information is so cumbersome. Wanted to make sure we gave you guys a little piece of each program, and give you guys an opportunity to, most of all, share the information with the folks that are in your circle, because I think that's the power that we have with this system. ARP.org/IN, all of the resources, blog posts, all of that information is listed on there. I'm going to give it to Amber. Are we doing shout outs? We doing shout outs at this point?
I mean, I feel like we can
feel like
what do you think?
Just kind of close it out. All
Yeah,
right.
we can
Well,
close it out. I think maybe,
you know what? You go ahead. Let's give one to our friends at IHCDA. Why don't you do that for us and give them,
No,
a little shout out?
That's a great one. I'm going to let you do it, but I did just want to close up the letter discussion by saying we have not received a response on either letter from the governor's office yet. But since there is some time to still, get these plans together, submit, ways that you're also using these funds, whether it's with the HCBS portion, whether it's housing or transportation. I know there are different dates maybe for different pieces. So we're going to look forward to hearing back with some information on how the governor plans to use these funds. And we will update you when we do hear back, because we are really looking forward to that. I mean, it's been about a month. I think we sent the first letter on June 2nd, I believe. And then we sent the second one shortly, a couple days after. So give them a little time to, make sure that their plans are in place, and hopefully we'll hear back with some additional information on how these things might go. So that's all I wanted to say. Mandala, give the shout out.
Hey, before we go, obviously got to give big shout outs. We're going to give a shout out this week to our friends at IHCDA. We're going to give a big shout out to Jake Sipe for being on our show, and more importantly, making sure that everything that we've talked about is available for you all. That's got to be a tough job. So appreciate you, Jake. Thank you so much for coming out. Big shout out. You will probably see more from him, or at least someone from the team at IHCDA. We know Matt and a couple of the other guys there as well. So we appreciate them. Obviously got to give big shout outs. We're going to give a shout out this week to our friends at IHCDA. We're going to give a big shout out to Jake Sipe for being on our show, and more importantly, making sure that everything that we've talked about is available for you all. That's got to be a tough job. So appreciate you, Jake. Thank you so much for coming out. Big shout out. You will probably see more from him, or at least someone from the team at IACDA. We know Matt and a couple of the other guys there as well. So we appreciate them. We appreciate the work that they're doing. We appreciate Governor Holcomb and his team making sure that all of these pieces are in place for you all. We look forward to seeing you guys soon.